Okay, maybe we're on, but I think we're only on a couple of different services. Somebody put something in the chat and let me know if you can see this, because it's a little bit frustrating. I thought I was going to be on like 6 platforms, and I'm on YouTube, my fave, and I'm on I think Reels, but who knows if it's actually working? And suddenly it got darker. Lights, camera. Anybody in the chat? Right. Somebody tell me if you can. Okay, looks like I am in there. Is the other one still going and causing confusion? There we go. People are on. Thank you. Glad to see you here. I've got a lot of good news to share, and I want folks to jump in so I can tell you about everything that's going to be happening. But we'll give folks a sec. It is exciting time. I'll put on the my cans so that if anybody you know super chats or anything, I'll get a little notification. So thank you all for being here. It has been an exciting time. Those of you who've been following the BAM story know, hey, Portland, welcome, glad. Australia, very glad you're here as well. California. So if you've been following, you know that there was a settlement reached with Brian Mansell, with the Mansell family, his father Ed, and that is excellent news. That is what we wanted for him throughout this whole thing, and so I'm very glad. Sickos, I mean, if you've been following all of this, you know this. He's done the rounds. He's been on like 5 shows. One of the things that he was mentioning and that really struck a chord with me is this story for many of you has been something where you've been taking it all in and following it very closely, and that has been fantastic. The people who've been doing, the BAM map and all the various streamers who have been sharing about this, I've so appreciated all of you. But for those of us inside of it, it has like taken over our lives. Like it has just been crazy. Oh, Rose is here, excellent. Speaking of the folks who've been doing incredible work. And so Wisconsin is here. Glad you're here. So it has been, this has just taken over our lives. So like when Brian's thing dropped, that was, show after show after show that Chris and I were watching, keeping up on all of this, and communicating with our attorney about BAM's reaction. And one of the things that I've got a handful of things that I want to share with you today that are good news. Some of which are completely unrelated to BAM, but I think are connected to all of you, hopefully, or connected to some of you. Some of you know that I've been, doing a show here for, many, many, many years, and interviewing authors. And I've got some exciting kind of news about that will be forthcoming as well. So the as far as the BAM side of things, Little L Brick says hello question mark. Can you hear me? I'm hoping you can hear me. It looks like the other folks can. So I'm hoping all of this is working well. Yes, author interviews. So for years, I did a show where I would interview just one author at a time. It was called Writers Not Writing. You see that up in the corner there, Writers Not Writing, and I would just interview them about kind of what was going on in their lives and, getting to know the person behind the book that you love, right? And that was really fun. I enjoyed it, but it was incredibly time consuming. I would, it would be emailing back and forth for weeks to get something scheduled. And thank you for the hearing that the mic is low volume. Let me know if it's just a distance to my mouth issue. Better now? Let's see. If it's smack dab in front of me, I wonder if it was cutting some stuff out. The scheduling was always a challenge with the show. And then I'd record the interview, and then, we'd talk for, an hour and a half. And then editing that show down to a tight hour and, I'm not a professional editor. It took me a lot of time. And so what I realized in all of this, I've kind of discovered lives. And so what I'm going to be doing moving forward is, instead of having uh, you know, one author that would be my guest, I'm going to have like 6 at a time. And we'll put everybody there and we will talk with you all about our lives. But one of the things that I'm particularly excited about is we will have a segment on the show that I'm adding that is the BAM School of Advice. And I need a logo for this, but the BAM School. And the BAM School of Advice is, you come into the chat and you say, here's something I am struggling with. And often when we are having challenges in our lives and we're, writing into an advice show kind of problems, on some deep level, we know what we ought to do, right? But that's not entertaining. Who wants to hear what they're supposed to do? So instead, I'll work with these creative folks, these authors, and we will tell you what BAM would do. What is the absolute worst thing that you could do? For example, you're having an issue with a neighbor, and you recognize that you have done wrong in some way. You could just sue them, right? Accuse them of RICO, right? That'd be the BAM strategy. Let's say that you're having an issue with a loved one. Well, you could just commit a massive nationwide series of frauds. That might get you out of it. So we will give you the BAM solution to problems, and I think that will be helpful, because then you will be able to go, okay, this is not good advice. This is not what I should do, but deep down I knew what I should do. But it's really helpful to know what it is that would be the worst thing. And so, as an example, I mean, BAM has been so helpful to all of us in this, because they have really provided some really remarkable examples of what not to do. So they settled with Brian. Good for them. Took them way too stinking long, but they finally settled with the Mansells, and I am glad for the Mansell family. And then, when they had this opportunity for a win, right? Hey, we finally did right by the Mansell family. They screwed up everything. And so for those of you who don't know, here was the kind of sequence of them screwing things up. They then announced that they had paid him, past tense, when in fact that's not the way it works. And this is, it's not their fault that this is not the way it works. They pay their attorney then sends those funds to his attorneys, then it comes to him. And they should have either waited, that would have been an option, but clearly they were desperate to get some good news, to get some good press, and so they put out this statement. Well, it's not hard to just change the verb tenses. To just say, we have settled with the Mansell family, we will be paying them, right? That would have been the truth. Instead, a company that has already established this reputation for being deceptive consistently lied to the public again and made this thing that should have been a win embarrassing. So that's bad. That's not good. Don't lie to the public when people already are used to you lying to the public. But then they made it even worse, because they called a meeting to do their little victory rally with all their franchisees, and in this rally, badmouthed the Mansells. Why? In my union work, I worked quite a bit with my teachers union for years, and we would talk about inside and outside communication. And one of the points that we would remind ourselves of is, when you're thinking about inside communication, here's the conversations that we want to have behind closed doors about strategy. You always bear in mind that your inside communication will become your outside communication, right? Somebody's gonna leak. And so even your private communications, you think about, okay, you're careful and you're thoughtful, and you don't say things even in private that you wouldn't want to be public. And that's just kind of a good, lesson for life. These things come out, right? So yeah, getting the people together to have a private conversation about how Brian Mansell is, and this is, a quote attributed to them, and that I think the attribution is believable and reliable. Is they accused him of playing the victim. Playing the victim, he was the victim. And I think that even that phrasing, the kind of people who accuse others of playing the victim so often are talking about people who are actually victims, their own victims. Like, this is classic gaslighting, right? So that was just, I was floored by that, like that they would handle that so poorly. And I thought this could be fun. So if any of you have a question, if something you'd like your advice, our advice on, I'm going to get a panel of, 5 or 6 authors, won't be an overwhelming number, but 5 or 6 people max, right? And we will, among other, we'll talk about what we've been doing, but we're not going to talk process, right? We're not going to sit around and go, this week, this was how I was structuring the plot. Like, some people are super into process shows. Great. There are plenty of those out there for you. I think the get to know you shows are better. What movies are you watching? What's a news story that is inspiring you and that's got you thinking about your book? That helps us get to know the person behind the person behind the work itself, so that we can go, oh, I'm connected to that person. But um, okay, Sam Tornado, I love that. Ammon suffered a narcissistic injury. Narcissists cannot rest until they feel vindicated. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely correct. Like, it sounds funny, but, to me, I mean, my first response was, to laugh. But you're right, this is the way narcissists think, is if you think, everything should always go your way. When it doesn't, it's an attack, right? Yes, the Rose, props to you. Thank you for the super chat there. Yes, the leek, the vegetable that is the leek. Well, okay, which reminds me of another great story in this whole thing. Folks who really followed this carefully. So BAM freaked out about, and again, I am I don't have any inside sources. Like, this is what I have read, but according to the BAM map, which I trust, BAM was kind of being awful to its own franchisees in terms of hounding them and telling them we're watching everything in the Slack channels, and you better be careful, because if you screenshot it, we'll know, which they didn't. That was a bluff. I've later heard that technologically, no, they can't actually do that, but they were freaking people out. And it turns out that the leak was not a leaker. It was not a person, Rose. It was also not a vegetable. The leak was an exploit within their system, which made it publicly available on accident. And so while they were busy hounding their own franchisees and trying to figure out who was revealing information, somebody figured out technologically how to see it. And it wasn't even a hack. Like, this was just, oops, we made that all public, which is classic. So I think that's the kind of advice we'll be able to offer people, is, the BAM school of advice, how to do everything wrong. And I think it could be really useful for people to, when you've got a genuine problem, to go, oh, okay, what would be the worst thing I could do? The BAM school of management, so that you can then avoid that. So that's one of the things we will talk about on the show, and I think that'll be really fun. Which brings me to my next big question that I want to put to all of you, which is, what day of the week? I want to make this a regular thing where you're just like, yep, I know. And for the sake of the authors, they know this is the day of the week. It's always scheduled. It's always at the same time. And I put this to a smaller group of the authors, and I heard kind of the biggies that I was hearing were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Were the days that were the most popular. So if you'll put in the chat, which day of the week would you want that? And of course, it would be filmed and you could watch it later. But if you wanted to participate, which day of the week would you think would be the one that you'd be most likely to tune into a bunch of writers telling you the absolute worst thing you could do? The BAM School of Management. So let me know. People are saying I'm seeing some weekend. Sundays tend to be free for some folks, but I don't know if Sundays are good days for YouTube viewers. Friday, seeing some Friday, so if people would be willing to tune in on a Friday. Days that end in Y, thank you, that's helpful. So yes, BAMCon. Yes, we can. I think they might already have BAMCon locked down. I don't want to step on anybody's copywritten anything. But BAM is the word BAM is not copywritten to the best of my knowledge. They can send me a nasty gram if they own the word BAM. I don't believe they do, and so I think we can do BAM School. So we'll do BAM School each week and give people the absolute worst advice. Sunday evening, I'm seeing good. That's a good one for me as well. So Sunday evening is more popular than I thought. Fridays. Yeah, scribe day. Yes, exactly. Get a bunch of writers in a room. The great thing about a group of writers is you've inherently got people who kind of think in a fun, creative way. Now, not all authors want to be on camera, and I am sympathetic to that. Unfortunately, we live in the era of AI, and I've been trying to talk to the authors that I work with as a publisher, and kind of let them know. Once upon a time, may say 1950s, the model was very different. You could actually be an author and like hide, and your shtick could be, oh, I don't put a picture of myself on the back of the book, and ooh, isn't that cool? This person's totally absent, right? The big mystery writer. You can't do that anymore, and it's not because that mystery is impossible. You could choose to hide. It's that if you choose to hide, the reader picking up that book has no connection with you anymore, right? And for all they know, this is AI, right? Now, I mean, hopefully your book is higher quality, but AI is going to get better and better. And what's going to make the difference between an AI novel and a novel that is written by an actual human being is that the actual human being, you'll feel connected to them. They were posting to social media as they were writing it. They were hopping on a live show like this, and you were going, oh, okay, I know that person, right? And then you will hopefully feel more connected to them, and I think that's going to be key for in the future connecting us. I saw this thing this last week where even both Marvel and DC, whatever studio put out Supergirl, and Marvel in the newest Spider-Man, I guess that would have been Sony, used AI not in the film, but in the pre-production. And this person did this really great video, I believe it was on TikTok, about how even this is really bad because we don't see all those initial pieces of artwork that they use to kind of frame a story. But if they turn that over to AI, it will make the films that we see kind of soulless because having human beings involved in the planning, and then the particular example he used is all the human artists who were involved in the Spider-Verse films, made that what it was, right? Because once it made it onto the screen, you could tell humans had been involved. And I think the same thing, in a way, is going to be true of books. Like, we will want to know the person behind this book is a human being. They are a person. They created this thing. And so I guess that brings me to another bit of news, and I don't want to be too premature on this, but Not a Pipe Publishing, so the publishing company that Chris and I own, one of the things I've been thinking about over the course of this whole BAM catastrophe is that part of what is kind of undone BAM is their hierarchical structure. They've got a group of, we don't know how many, 2 or 3 or, 4 or 5 owners, right? And then they've got all these franchisees who have no power to say, hey, owners, you're screwing up. You're doing this really, really poorly. And maybe the best way for us to handle this situation is, if we can't change your behavior, to get rid of you, right? And I was thinking about this, and of course, Not a Pipe Publishing, much smaller company, instead of the millions of dollars that BAM has made, that BAM has acquired in various ways over the last few years, Not a Pipe Publishing, and I've been, open with folks about this. Some years doesn't make money, right? The publishing industry, the margins are incredibly thin. We do this because we love literature. I would love it if we sold a whole lot more books. Every publishing company is waiting for the one big hit, right? The hit supports all the other authors. But I was thinking about the kind of BAM structure and realizing Not a Pipe Publishing has that same weakness, right? Not that, I'm sitting around going, wah ha ha ha, twirling a giant mustache, going, I'm going to do terrible things that will make our authors want to get rid of me. But how do we distribute the power so that there are other people who can say, you could be doing this better, right? We should be trying this. We should be trying that. And so I have been thinking about how to create Not a Pipe Publishing as an author-owned co-op, where they actually own the company. And we get together and literally get into a Zoom room, twice a year and say, what should we publish next? These are the things that were proposed. And the way that would work, I think, be really wonderful for the authors is the authors could then say, I'm not somebody who's really comfortable in front of a camera. I don't want to be on a live. I'm not really comfortable doing social media at all. I don't want to do social media, but I'm really comfortable going into bookstores and talking about, hey, you should be carrying these books. And the folks could then work in kind of committees. Here's the 5 people who are going to work on getting into bookstores. Here's the 5 people who are going to work on what to post on social media this week. Here's the 5 people who are going to be working on videos, whatever. And the great thing is I don't have to decide. These are the committees. The group itself will be making these decisions together. But the idea is once it's kind of up and running, these folks are all helping one another. Yes, sorry about the fake live, the Rottweiler. I'm learning and posted a fake one as well. So, yes, Ammon did shave his mustache. That's another little bit of news I have heard. Again, I've not seen the guy, but I have heard that he finally went, oh, you know what? And again, classic example. The right decision, way too late. Somebody had to have, I have to imagine, somebody told him, Ammon, maybe right now where, you're being painted as a villain, having a villain mustache isn't a great idea. And he went, no. I'm still going to go on a whole bunch of shows and do this and then later shave it. And that becomes a news story. Like, think this through. Do you want the news story to be you finally shaved your villain mustache? Like, that's not a good look. Right? That's not better now. You've made this worse, right? And that's the thing. Like, at every turn, they've taken these steps that have made things worse for them, which great. That's great entertainment for us. We're going to be able to, have the BAM school of advice. And I think that will be a lot of fun to look back at the way that they manage that. Yeah, somebody says it's not Ammon without it. Early on, see, I have never met these guys in person, right? It was all, even when we got our franchise, it was exchanging documents. And so early on, when they did the first couple of shows, this would have been on, gosh, it wasn't Total AFOL. Which show were they on first? They both showed up 2 nights in a row in sequence, and I thought Matt was Ammon but had shaved because they look enough alike, right? And then Ammon showed up again on something else, and I was like, he grew it back? Why would he do that? That's not a good idea. Why grow that back? And also, that was quick. Oh, they're brothers and they look a lot alike, but one had a villain mustache. So I can imagine why, Ammon was probably hesitant to shave it because, he's going to get mixed up for Matt a lot now. They look a lot alike. But not great. It was ACOB. Oh, Chris is in the chat. Very cool. My favorite person. So that was on ACOB. So yeah, and shout out to those ACOB guys. When that whole first thing went down, we were like, and I think this is true of all these shows that, we've had to watch the shows to go, okay, is this going to be a place where we're going to go and like, we're going to be safe and they're going to ask questions fairly and they're kind of legit. And not ACOB's fault, but because of the timing, that TRO hit, literally, we hadn't heard about it, which means it did not apply to us. We would later learn it never applied to us because we were not named as defendants. But there was this moment in between where we were like, does that apply to us? But we hadn't even received it yet. And so ACOB has us on, and then like, hey, this thing's coming down. We're hearing from BAM like live on air, and we're like, what? And so we thought, did ACOB like do this to us? Since then, met a couple of those guys, nicest guys. They were not trying to get us in any way. They didn't know that this whole thing was going to happen in the way that it did. They were just as overwhelmed by the story as anyone, right? But I think that that's a good illustration of the way this is coming so fast that people need to be careful. I know there was somebody yesterday where Relic was on with somebody, and the person was upset at BAM, understandably, and Relic and the guy got into it a little bit, and I think they've patched it over. But I think this story is coming so fast that people are saying, oh, I'm responding to the last news, and maybe somebody who's got a little bit more information is going, hey, that's 2 days old, like 2 days old, right? But the story is coming so quickly that it can lead to folks, misunderstanding one another. Yeah, I think the nice thing is BAM has been so consistent. So consistent in their ineptitude that if you take a step back and go, I hadn't heard that news yet, but let's wait a day and see how BAM messes it up further, it's a safe bet, right? They are going to screw it up again. I'm still just floored. I mean, I'm still laughing at the fact that they were hounding their own franchisees about a leak when there was no leak. It still cracks me up that they can't figure out verb tenses and screwed up what should have been a good opportunity for them. And, it is unfortunate for the Mancells, but they will be fine, that they're still being badmouthed even after this, which again, just such a classic example for BAM. Don't, why they managed to take a win and turn it into a loss at every turn. And, so that has me hopeful. And, Chris and I have talked a lot about this, and, Chris is in the chat probably because she's going, is he going to say the wrong thing? We do have to be cautious, right? We do have to be thoughtful about what we say. And so I have all of my speculation of what's going to come next, right? And don't worry, Chris, I'm not going to tell everybody the way I see this all going down, but I can tell everybody that I'm feeling really hopeful about the way this is going to go down. I think they're, there's going to be posturing. There are going to be moves that are made, and I'm sure they want us to be really scared. That is not what I am feeling based on my understanding of things right now. I'm feeling very optimistic, so that's good. But I want to share a couple other things that have me optimistic. So I put out this idea of getting authors on the show in this panel design. And I limited it first to just authors who've worked with Not a Pipe, the authors that I really know. And I was going, is this going to fly? Are people going to be interested, right? And boom, 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 a whole bunch of people signed up. So that's exciting. That will happen, because that's one of the things that I wrestle with some of these times is I'll have an idea. And I'll be like, oh, this would be cool if people are interested, right? I mean, it's kind of like, writing a book. This will be great if people want to read it. And you don't know. You don't know until it's out there in the world, right? And so once this idea was shared with all these authors, a whole bunch of them said, yes, I am interested in that. So moving forward, if you are an author, if you are a reader and you're saying, I really like, in fact, somebody reached out to me, they really like a particular author I have not heard of, and said, I want this person to be on the show. Absolutely. I will reach out to that person. I'll get them on the show. If you in the comments right now are like, Stephen King, like, go big. I don't care. Who is it that you would love to see on here? I would love to see those, who are you interested in hearing from? And I will see if I can catch those folks. And then if you are an author and you're saying, I would like to be on the show, what you can do is sign up for our newsletter at notapipepublishing.com, the website. Go to the website. There's a place where you sign up for the newsletter. And then the next newsletter that's going to go out next week is going to have a sign up, right? So you can sign up to be on the show. Yes. And, Stephen R.L. Stein, that would be really fun. So, that was cool. That was heartening to go, okay, this idea that I've been kicking around, that I've invested some energy in, people are excited about. even bigger, this idea about going to the author-owned model. I was very nervous about that because I've invested a lot more time and energy in that. I have met with authors, I've met with publishers to get their feedback. I've looked into publishing companies that already have this model and do so successfully and said, how would ours be similar or different, if it worked? And it was kind of a little nerve-wracking to go, okay, now I'm going to go out into the world, and this might get, shot down. A bunch of folks may say, I'm not interested. And they were excited. Like, this could be really helpful to me. I could focus on what I'm good at in terms of sharing about my book and sharing about the books of others. And the fact that people were excited and willing to do that, too, was really cool. So, I should see if there is a way. I'm realizing that the chat box is not showing up on the smaller one. Can I make it? Maybe not. Okay, well, we'll see. Thanks to the folks who are participating in the chat. I appreciate that. Yes, and I'm trying to keep up on the chat a little bit, but I really need somebody who can be in my ear and say, you missed this really good question. So please super chat if you want to make sure that I see that. I am looking. And there are jewels now. I learned about this on let's see, I was watching Echobase Network last night, and they were discovering the whole jewels thing. And so if you are on YouTube, and I don't know, do you buy like a chunk and then you can distribute them? I'm not quite sure how those work. Yes. Okay. Wow. That's wild that you know that. And okay, so Mean Panda says, get Chris some of those yummy little yellow tomatoes. Did Chris mention that today, or did you just already know that about her because those are her favorites? Which brings me to another thing that I want folks to be thinking about. And Chris does not know that I'm about to say this, but she was so entertained by the fact that she was referenced in the Wikipedia article about this whole scandal. Well, that's really not going far enough. We can do better, people. She really needs her own Wikipedia page. And I've been thinking about, with all the interest, with all of the wonderful folks that we've got who have been following the story, somebody out there's got to be a Wikipedia editor. And so if you have the pull to create a Wikipedia page for Chris, that would be excellent. And I have a couple of things that you should note there. So one of them, the yellow tomatoes, that's now public knowledge. She likes the little yellow cherry tomatoes. I think that belongs in her Wikipedia page. I mean, I think we can all agree on this. Another thing, this is, we are in a national state of mourning over one of our, only universally beloved national saints, Dolly Parton. And I think it should go in Chris's Wikipedia page that she is a Dolly superfan. People should know this about her. And Chris and I got married. Some of you may know this already. We got married at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio. And we got married there the year after Dolly had been inducted. And so Chris was so excited to see all the preliminary Dolly stuff. Like, they don't have the full exhibit yet, or didn't when we got married, but because some of it's at Dollywood, but they were going to get some of that to have there at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they gave her something, and Chris may have to correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was a badge from Dolly's induction ceremony that she treasures. So don't put that in the Wikipedia page because we haven't had that confirmed yet. But it should go in the Wikipedia page when you think of Dolly Parton, and you think, and those of you who have, Chris has become a friend to you through all of this, which is real. Many of you have become friends to us. You now are a friend who knows she loves Dolly. And so put that in her Wikipedia page. If you want to create a Wikipedia page for me as well, that would be nice. I would appreciate that. But let's prioritize getting Chris a Wikipedia page. If hers showed up, if you make one for me, actually, no, this is a better idea. idea. Do make one for me, but make sure you make one for her first, and then she will lord that over me for the rest of our lives. Like literally, we will be sitting around on, on our retirement village. We're thinking about our retirement village being a cruise ship. Have you folks heard about this? Where some people are realizing that rather than a retirement home, in some cases it's cheaper to just get in like a cruise ship and just cruise around with a full medical staff and a buffet, and it's everything you would have at a nursing home, but it's on the water. So maybe we'll do that for our retirement if it turns out to be cheaper. Chris says she did get a badge. I was right. I remembered it correctly. Good. And so yeah, I think that should be that should be mentioned. Now that's been confirmed. That should be in her Wikipedia page. And we'll be on some deck of a cruise ship when we're, older than when we're Dolly's age. And Chris will still be turning to me and reminding me that she got a Wikipedia page before I did. So somebody make that happen. A D&D game with, oh my gosh, I would love to. Okay, so thank you. This will help me. Mitch Burns says, can I run a D&D game with Chris and Frankie? I'd love to see a game with you guys. Sprinkle in some allegories, the whole thing. Okay, I would love to. Here's the thing. I need a DM. I need a dungeon master, a game master. Those of you who know the way these games work, there's one person who's essentially the narrator, but they're narrating a collaborative story, which is very cool. So they're facilitating, right? And the reason I need a DM is I would not be a good DM because I would be trying to shape the story too much. Because I'd be going, the worst kind of DMs, they say, are novelists, right? Because we're trying to make it our own book, right? So I need a good DM who would, manage that. But I would absolutely love to play. Frankie does play. Frankie's got a game. And they would be a ton of fun to play with. And then we're going to have to, pull Chris along and make her play. But if folks are interested, you have a lot more pull with Chris on that, I think, than I do. When I say, we should be playing Dungeons & Dragons, she's like, meh. But maybe if all of you said we would watch that, then I can convince Chris and Frankie to play a game, and that would be
so much fun.
Wouldn't it be fun? Frankie is in the kitchen right now making food. I got to give a shout out to Frankie. Frankie made me a hot dog today, and I am normally very snooty.
In my Lego shirt.
Yes.
I wore this to apply for an apartment, and they were like, you know about the Lego stuff?
Did they today?
Oh boy, do I! Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy, do I know about
it. It's inescapable. It's everywhere. That's awesome.
Yeah, but with Dungeons and Dragons, I could help my mom make a character and play.
Yeah.
Because I've helped or watched people help people who've never played before learn how to play very recently.
Yeah.
Because I'm in a campaign that's every other week that I pay to be a part of, and it's with people I've never paid for. And guys, start rolling is
somebody
almost
says
never
Ammon.
Okay.
Somebody says Ammon could be the DM. No. No. I'm not. Choose the people you play with very carefully. We've made those mistakes.
It does seem complicated. It's really not. And we have dice. We can make character sheets. It's actually a lot more simple. I was really no rocks are here yet. But I was
no rocks have arrived yet, but some are on the way, I understand. And so we will have to do something when they show up. Frankie hype. Yellow tomatoes and hot dogs. Yes.
Wait, yellow tomatoes?
Your mom's favorite. But I should say about Frankie's hot dog. So I'm snooty about my hot dogs. And Frankie offered to make me a hot dog. And I was like, is it boiled or grilled? And Frankie was like, it's just boiled. And I was like, eh. And then Frankie made hot dogs with all the veggies. And that makes all the difference. And it was fantastic. So shout out to Frankie for the excellent hot dog.
Hot dogs. I'm food prepping. I've made 12 burritos. I'm making more.
What color are your dye? Somebody asks. Let's see. We've got a bunch of them. There's turquoise. There's purple with gold. Yeah. I've got some black with and the coolest one we have, this is funny, came via BAM.
Yeah.
So BAM did a thing where they had a D&D event, and they gave out some dye that they got from one of their distributors, where it's got liquid inside and an eyeball with a bubble in it, so the eyeball's rotating around as you roll the die. That's the coolest die I have. Mm-hmm. So my BAM die is my best one.
Yeah,
talk about a collector's item. I wouldn't even walk into a Bricks and Minifigs now, and yet I have a Bricks and Minifigs die.
Thank you. Someone said I look cool. And you totally should join your local library D&D group.
Oh, it's through our library.
It's so fun.
I never even had considered that.
Well, someone said that their local library has a D&D group.
I should see if we are here in Portland. The Portland Downtown Library is our local library branch. I'll bet you they have one. That would be that's a good idea. That would be very cool. So yes, so that's that. Those are the kinds of things that I am contemplating.
That would be fun.
I know the auto cameras. I got a new camera, which is fun.
But I have a pair of
it follows Frankie a lot better than me because it looks at me and it's like, I'm not sure that's a face.
No, I have a.
There's no hairline.
Yeah, I have a Goldstone set that I got for free at Ren Fair. I won them. And then,
thank you.
Yes, thank you. And then I have a stone set that I got also at Ren Fair, but not for free. But I did get a discount because the first time I rolled them, it was a nat 20. And so I was like, these are my dice.
Hellmark says that BAM gave us Palantirs. It's true. No. Don't touch it.
Yeah, I know. I haven't used them in a game yet, and I'm kind of scared to. But they are cool looking.
Yeah, my one of my son's best friends in high school, his dad. So there's the 6 degrees separation. Worked for Kraken Dice, and so we would get some cool stuff from Kraken. And if you know the Kraken Dice company, he ended up moving to, I believe they're in LA, headquartered in LA now. That is. I have to move my family because I work for Kraken Dice is a pretty cool reason to move. I think that's awesome.
No, but we should force my mom to play D&D.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. So Schrodinger's U-Haul die. That would be be very cool.
It's like a hologram.
We can see if we can have those manufactured.
Those must be difficult to make though.
Yeah, well, I wonder if there are places where you can get like personalized.
Yeah.
Where it would be BAM as the critical fail, because they just keep screwing stuff up. You roll a 1, that's BAM management.
Yeah. All right. Well, I gotta go back to making food prep, but
yes. But thanks for hopping on.
And I'm so excited and grateful that people have been sending me rocks.
Sending rocks. That's actually going to happen.
I don't even remember why I mentioned that in the first place, and my mom was like, "Why'd you bring that up?" But she did apologize and hug me on stream, so no cancellations happening. But
yes,
but I'm so excited for all the cool rocks, and I'm gonna make a video or something opening all the cool rocks.
Yes, we'll do an unboxing of the rocks. Unroxing. Oh, that's got to be the title.
But yeah, hello and goodbye. I'll be around. What sort of rocks? I would love to know.
Yeah, well, and I'm excited to find out where those... See if I can get the camera to come back now. Come back, camera. Here we are. Thank you. So I'm excited to see where all the rocks come from. How far away do people send rocks from? So we'll find out. And Chris had some ideas for things she wanted you to send to her, too. I couldn't think of anything, but now I'm thinking dye would be cool. But Chris, if you're still on, what was it that you wanted to you were saying I should ask people to send me to the P.O. Box. The P.O. Box, again, 2003, Portland, Oregon, 97208. We can share that publicly. Let's see. Can I put that in the chat? I don't know that I can. Somebody else will have to write that. 2003, Portland, Oregon, 97208. I would have to have that up in a separate window, and I do not, and now it won't. Now I've lost the chat. Come back, chat. Oh no. Cancel. Oh no, what did I do? No. I lost the chat. Other people are... I don't want to be looking at my phone simultaneously. Okay, there's another way to do this. Sorry about this, folks. I'm learning. I'm figuring all this stuff out. It's coming together. I tried to switch today to a different kind of software, and that did not work. So we're sticking with this, and I hope you all don't mind it. No ads. No, we're not doing that. And let's see. What do I get here? And we're sticking with this, and I hope you all don't. And no, we're not doing that. And unroxing. That's awesome. Okay, now I want to see the chat. Here we go. I don't want to see the top chat. I want to see all the chat. How do I make that bigger? I don't need to see me. I just want to see what all of you have to say. So I made my own chat disappear, which is less than ideal, because I was going to sign into it to say something. I was saying I love how these lives go. Thank you. I appreciate your patience.
Well, while you get it fixed, I'll show you guys my rock collection, which is also my die collection, because it's rocks. They're made out of rocks. Okay, so this one is not a rock. This is just like resin. But this was my lucky one. I won this set with that yellow one. I'm such a freaking nerd. Look at them. And I said goldstone before. They're sandstone. Oh no, the camera's tracking me, so I can't show them my dice.
You have to hold it in front of your face, like right in front of your face.
You guys see that? The sandstone. They're really cool. They're like real sandstone. Da-da-da-da-da. My Siri's talking to me in Spanish in my headphones. But yeah, I got these for free at the Orkin Renaissance Fair.
There we go. I got the job.
There we go. And then my other set, because my character is like really sick and twisted. He's like an amalgam that's basically Frankenstein. And so I got this set, which is, I just dropped one.
Dropping them
on Ben. And they're really heavy too. It's just like black stone. Really heavy. Where'd it go?
I don't know. The dog was like, should I eat that? Is that something I should eat?
Did you eat that?
No.
Oh, I see it. It's down there.
Way down there.
I can't reach it.
We'll have to get that later.
Okay, I don't want the dog to eat it, but yeah, that's my dice.
Yes. So more rocks will be appreciated. That will be fun.
Yeah, it's right there.
I can't
just don't want the
reach
dog
it
to get
because,
to it.
Yeah. So that'll have to wait. But yes, we appreciate all the folks who are sending stuff in. Did Chris? Well, I was unable to see the chat. Did she remember what it was she wanted everybody to send her? She had an idea. Let's see. You did. You mentioned something. She says in the chat, I don't think I mentioned anything. Yes, she did. Something she was saying she wanted folks to send. I can't remember. It'll come to her. But yeah, you know, all the rocks, that will be really fun to share with folks, and maybe dice for us, like that would be cool, you know. So if you're especially those of you who are the dice hoarders. Speaking of, I was watching Echo Base Network, and they were talking about people who were sending in jewels, which is this new thing, and I was like, okay, if we've got a writer show, that will be our dragon hoard. I mean, I think that, you know, only follows. So if you'd like to, you know, make a contribution to the dragon hoard, as we have authors on, they will get a kick out of that. So we'll keep that going. Okay, so talked about the BAM screw ups, talked about the show having all of the various folks on, and talked about the author owned model. And so, again, if you are interested in engaging with those, participating in those, if that sounds like something that would be helpful to you as an author, if that sounds like something that would be of interest. Oh, I should preview some of the folks that I'm going to have on. So a friend of mine, Eric Grove, has a book coming out called, I just pulled this up. His book is called, what is it? Red something. And I saved a picture of it, but I know I will not be able to put it up on the screen in time. Well, let's see. How fast can I put up an image? I do want to show you the cover. It's pretty cool. Will it allow it? Okay. We're going to see if I can find this image of Eric's cover. Here it is. The Long Red Tomorrow. There you go. And so those of you who are seeing that, that should be visible there, but it should be in front of me. Why is it not in front of me? On the small screen, those of you who are watching this in vertical, it's right there on the top, but it's supposed to be in front of my face. I can't figure out why I can't get that to show up. Maybe if I move that down. There it is. Okay, so there's Eric Grove's new one, the Long Red Tomorrow. That doesn't come out until March, but it sounds really good. And Eric's just a great guy, so we'll get him on here. So I'm excited to have him on. And then I'll show you another one. Cover reveals are a big deal for authors, and this was another one that I just pre-ordered. See if that shows up. This is Curtis Chen's Kangaroo Fourth. As the title hints, this is the fourth in the Kangaroo series, and this is a really clever story. So the premise is that there's this spy in space, science fiction, but his big thing that makes him special is he can control a very small pocket dimension. That's all. He's got a pouch, right? Kangaroo, right? And that is, so it's a great example of a very limited kind of superpower, right? Is that he can, but for a spy, if you could sneak into a place and hide something in a pocket dimension, so you get to read all of his kind of adventures and foibles and everything that happens with him. And that's, and Curtis is also a cool guy. He'll be a great guest. So I'll absolutely get Curtis on when his new book comes out. And then I want to show you what I just read. This is my most recent read, was a book called Wife-Shaped Bodies. And it is challenging. And when I say challenging, I don't mean like it's hard to read. I don't mean like it is difficult to read. I mean, it's a lot. It tells the story of a kind of science fiction world where, it's post-apocalyptic and all of the women have been covered in mushrooms. They are connected. The symbology there is, something you will understand. It's pretty straightforward. And at the same time, it's a book about misogyny and patriarchy and the difficulty of overcoming that, and, kind of how awful men are to women and the positions that women are put in. And it exaggerates that in this horrific way with like body horror and stuff. I'm not doing a good job of advertising it. It's beautifully written. It is eminently quotable. I highly, highly recommend it. And I got to meet Laura Cranehill briefly. She's very cool. And so I'm looking forward to having her on the show, because she was just, great person to get to gab with. And then it was, most folks don't get to meet the author and then go out and find the book. But you should, if you get to meet somebody and then you get to actually read their work, you then have a different kind of a connection. So I'd had this, brief conversation with her, and then I got to read her book, and I'm very much looking forward to connecting with her and saying, I loved your work. It's just a fantastic book. So if you get to read that one, check it out. I also do have a sponsor. But first, did you see the update about Slack shadow bans? Okay, so this is something that I can't talk about because I'm unaware of it. So I don't know to what extent that is public, that there were shadow bans. Are people aware of the shadow bans? Is that public info? Somebody let me know. I'm not going to say anything because I don't know what's public yet about that. But yeah, I know nothing about Slack shadow bans for current franchisees. But yeah, that's, keep an eye. More developments to come. I mean, that's what's so wild. They could have shut this thing down so many times. There were so many opportunities, and they've just made it worse and worse. Oh, so I understand there might be word about that on the BAM map. So it's public, which means some folks have, revealed some things. I don't know what they've revealed, so I'm not going to share too much about that. But you know, if Rose Investigates says check the BAM app, check the BAM. Good advice. Rose Investigates knows what they're talking about. So check that out because yeah, the folks who, whew, there's a lot that keeps coming out, and just I just shake my head because I'm like, and I think about this as somebody who, you know, admittedly runs a much smaller business, but the people that I work with, making them feel good about what they're doing, making them feel trusted, making them feel empowered, making them, you know, feel like they are going to be successful is the whole point. Like, why would you do this if you didn't want the people that you work with to be successful? And so undermining and refusing to communicate with people that you work with, like, it boggles my mind. That is not the way, you know, I don't pretend to be the world's greatest business person, right? You know, and maybe you know, I could make a whole lot more money by being awful, but no thank you. Like, the whole point of Not If Publishing is, how do I help these writers and how do I help readers, right? How do I connect writers and readers? And so making sure that our authors feel supported, encouraged, and now empowered. And that's, you know, this focus on switching to this author-owned model. How do I even change the structure so that they own the company? That's something that is worth doing, right? And so the idea of saying, I refuse to talk to, and I'm going to prevent this person from talking to others within our own organization is just, it's a disaster. How can you possibly be successful when you're failing to do the most important thing you can do as the franchisor, which is to connect the people and get the, you know, the good ideas from one place and to get them to the good ideas at another place and, you know, help each other out. Like, if you're not doing that, well, again, they're just reinforcing why be part of a franchise, right? If it is going to be run that way, then don't, I'm going to move over here so I'm not showing Frankie's door, then don't, you know, go independent. They're taking away the benefit, the central benefit of having that connection. And so, yeah, I just think that's, again, yeah. So check out the BAM app. The BAM app is so awesome in terms of the folks who are doing all of that hard work, reporting, you know, sharing all of that stuff. And again, you know, somebody there has got to be able to get Chris a Wikipedia page. So make it happen, people. So yes, they really are. And Legally Mime is hilarious. And I did see, I wanted to give a shout out to Legally Mime. So someone reached out to me that made the connection via this whole, you know, BAM thing. And they are a super fan of a particular indie author. And they made a wiki about this author's books. And I will admit to an intense jealousy that somebody would go through and do that. And so I was like, how do I reach out to, I think I can mention the name of the person who's responsible for Legally Mime. I hope that that's okay. Mark Nemke, can I out you there as the person who's responsible? Mark has done just incredible work with the Legally Mime, which is a very funny website. And I was like, how do I get Mark Nemke to create websites for all my books? Because it was very, you know, create wikis for people who've been, you know, reading through those. Because do check out the Legally Mime site. It is so funny. It is very clever. And so, but it is a kind of, I'm trying to remember the author's name, who talked about insider baseball in politics, that we have these languages that we speak that only the people who know. And a lot of the Legally Mime stuff is that kind of jokes where it's like, if you know, you know. So those of you who've been following the story, check out Legally Mime because it is targeted at you. You are going to get the biggest kick out of it. So check that out. Yeah. I'm giving Mark Nemke a lot of homework. Just read all of my books and create wikis for all of them. That would be, you know, no problem. It's, you know, just 9 books. But you know, finding that kind of fan is like the dream, right? You know, somebody who, because it was a fan who reached out to me and said, you should have this person on your show. And all of you, if there is some indie author you know, and you are saying, I want my friend to get more attention for their writing, you know a guy, right? Let me know. They should be on your show, and I will absolutely have them on. Chris is saying I do not need a Wikipedia page. I think Chris will admit she needs a Wikipedia page before I get one, right? Like, let's be honest. I think that would be. she would turn around and be very glad to have that before I did. So let's see. I'm trying to think of the other things that I wanted to share without, because I have to be cautious, right? Uh, you know, the kind of major developments this week that are behind the scenes. There's still more coming. And again, I just wanted everybody to know, feeling very good about Brian getting his, feeling very, very entertained by BAM, and watching them fall all over themselves, and looking forward to having a panel of authors and doing the BAM School of Advice. So be thinking of advice questions, from the most concrete and serious to the wildest that you can think of. Either way, the BAM School is helpful. Because it tells you what not to do. So we will go through and do this whole thing. Yes, Mitch Burns, I'm married into this whole situation. Yes. Yes, exactly. We have to make clear in Chris's Chris's Wikipedia page, she's not Amanda. That would be hilarious if that was the first line. Chris Gorman, aka Crystal Law. She's not Amanda. That would be excellent. Yes. Somebody says, Crystal is the main character in the Lego Saga. You are just a side character. Fact. So the way that went down, not only was she the manager, so she was, the day-to-day operations, she was far more manageable, or far more involved in that way, and is far more knowledgeable, right? But also, to her credit, Chris is the one who said, film everything as they were kicking us out and record the conversation that we had with corporate. And if that hadn't happened, as much as I give Reckless Ben a ton of credit, none of this would have happened without Reckless Ben. But I don't think it would have happened without Chris's recordings, because that's what gave Reckless Ben that ammo and also gave him the certainty. Right? I think there was honestly a time when he was like, I'm hearing from Brian that these Legos went through this store and suddenly they all disappeared. For all I know, who knows? Maybe the store owner stole them. Oh, wait, there they are on video walking out with nothing. Like, it's definitive. You can't, I've been trying to think about how you would even make a possible case that, that we are to blame with the evidence that we have. And it's like, you'd have to believe in teleportation. Right? We would have had to have a teleporter, right? We would have had to, magic, maybe, if we could have done a magic trick, because literally we have us walking out and never coming, we could not get back in, and walking out with nothing. And thanks to Chris, documented that it was there in the store. And so when you say Chris is the main character, yes, but also the hero. This would not have worked out if it were not for the fact that Chris took that documentation, because I do not trust those people to have ever said, oh yeah, we acknowledge that was all here. It was only because they were confronted with that evidence and it was irrefutable that they had to go, okay, well, maybe suing a person we took it from isn't the best strategy. Let's just settle. So I give Chris so much credit for thinking of that, thinking on her feet, documenting. And she'll be the first to tell you, I am far more trusting. I am the person who always tries to look on the bright side. I am the person who, if somebody is not being kind, I'm like, maybe they're having a bad day. Like, give them the benefit of the doubt. And that served me very well as a teacher. Right? Rather than saying this student is bad, there are no bad students. And if I carried that attitude into my classroom, the student may be having a bad day, but they're not a bad kid. There are no bad kids. And I would even have colleagues who would be like, yeah, except, 1 out of every 100 is a sociopath. And I'd be like, yeah, but I don't know who that is. I'm going to treat them all like they're, they're good kids doing their best. Even when they're having a rough time, when they're 14, they're going to grow out of it. And that attitude in my classroom made it a safer place for everybody. Like everybody knew, Mr. Foreman's on your side, right? And so it served me very well in that capacity. But boy, it would not have served me well in this capacity, because this total stranger came into our store and I was like, he probably has no idea about any of this. It's not his fault. I had no idea Brandon Best was employed by BAM. They did not make that clear. A guy's coming up from Eugene. Who, right? We thought potential buyer, right? And then surprise. And Chris was quick enough on her feet to go, this is not a hostile, we didn't say a hostile takeover. That was their words, right? But we realized this is, this is a nightmare. She called me up and was like, get over here right away. This is bad. And then she was savvy enough to say, we need to record everything. Whereas I was going, tomorrow we'll get an attorney, and the attorney will send them a letter, and they will do the right thing, and they'll turn the store back over to us. Like, I honestly thought this would be resolved, where an attorney would say, hey, you can't just take somebody's store away. That's clearly a breach of contract. And they go, you're right, this was handled very poorly. Chris has the store back to you. Right? I was just naive. I thought the best of people. And I'm very glad that Chris was like, yeah, document. We wish we documented more, right? One of the things that we've been criticized for is not having all of the documents of that for Brian's receipts up to date for like the month prior. And it's like, but we didn't know we were going to have a hostile takeover, right? You don't plan around that. And luckily, Chris mentioned it on video, and we took pictures of everything when we did. She reacted to that, promptly, and recorded all that. So when people say, kind of who's the hero of the story, to me, it's Chris. Absolutely. None of this would have been possible without her. The whole thing is so surreal to us, and we'll be able to talk about this a lot more when we do our victory lap. Which, again, I'm feeling a lot more hopeful now. And so I'm sure we'll go around and do what Brian's been doing and kind of share some parts of the story that we've had to hold a little closer to the vest. But, this is been so strange because, and I've shared this before, there was a time when we gave up. We were like, we cannot even find an attorney. And just kept plugging away, trying to find an attorney. And the attorneys would say to us, sorry, exactly what Kai said. They're just going to bury you, right? And if it wasn't for all of you, we would never have been able to fight, right? It was the folks who donated to the GoFundMe. It's all of the various streamers who have been bringing attention to this. It's absolutely reckless, Ben. And if you trace it back, it's Chris taking that video and making sure people knew, right? The kind of the first step of citizen journalism is, you film it when you see it happening, right? And she did that. So, yeah, when this thing is all resolved, we'll be able to tell that kind of full accounting of the whole journey of how we got here. And I'm looking forward to that day. But in the meantime, I kind of realized, like, I can't wait on BAM to get it together, because when are they ever going to get it together? And so that's why, moving forward with Not a Pipe Publishing stuff has been a good way for me to be thinking about something where I can be productive and positive, right? I can, what is in my control, right? And I'm very excited about what is to come. So if you are interested in that at all, if that is something you'd like to keep track of, be a part of, do sign up for the Not a Pipe newsletter. That'll go out this next week, and you'll see the sign up for authors to be on the show. You'll see the sign up for folks who want to get involved in the piece. Yes, and the Justice for Tattle. Thank you for folks rallying around Tattle as well. That's, one of those cases where, again, like the night of, we were being threatened, we're going to call the police if you take anything that you don't personally own out of this store. And we had to kind of acknowledge to one another, like, that is the store's bird. And so as much as we would have liked to have said, okay, I guess what are we going to do? We got the animals at home. I don't know that we can take a bird home, but we don't feel safe leaving it. And we were like, it belongs to the store. And we know that the employees of the store love the bird and can take good care of the bird. And we didn't even imagine people would get rid of a bird. Like, who would do that? Right? And so, there have been many regrets along the way, but a lot of those regrets are we have presumed decency to a degree that has bit us. But I am very, very grateful that people have rallied to Tattle's defense as well, and that's another thing that those of you who are contributing to the GoFundMe, that's one of those things that you are specifically, when you're given to our GoFundMe, you're fighting for, right? Because we're the ones who are going to be able to say to BAM, we want information about Tattle in Discovery. Like, that's not a knock on Brian or Ben. They can't, right? Because the judge is going to say that's not relevant to your case, right? Tattle is relevant to ours. And so if you are interested in justice for Tattle, somebody toss the GoFundMe link in the comments. That would be helpful. Any of you who are concerned about Tattle, that is the way for us to find out what happened, is to demand it in Discovery and find out how are these people possibly going to tell the truth under oath and admit to what they did to Tattle. Like, we're going to find out together. So, yeah, that's wild. Yes, and there's a Justice for Tattle shirt on the Not a Pipe Publishing store, and Chris loves to laugh at me and kind of rib me about the fact that is the bestseller right now. So if you don't have your Justice for Tattle shirt, you will make Chris very happy getting a Justice for Tattle shirt, because it is outselling the Schrodinger's U-Haul shirt that I'm wearing. But there's a whole bunch of other stuff, and most of that merch that you see on the site, Chris designed. So you are lifting her up and supporting her pretty much anything else you get as well. And you'll see her personality comes through very strong in the various stuff. She's the merchandising director. That is her gig. She is also a writer. She had her first writing credit with the Antifa Lit Journal Volume 1. She wrote the prologue. So if you want to read her writing, the Antifa Lit Journal Volume 1, she wrote the introduction. And then she has been the co-editor throughout. So that is a process where we get all these submissions, and folks are saying, I am frustrated with what's going on in the world around me. I don't know what to do about it, and I need to speak out, and I recognize that I need to speak out, and they've got talent. They are artists, and so they send us a poem, they send us a short story, and so they're politically speaking, they kind of spread the gamut, right? These are not people who are all, who would all agree with each other on a lot of things. But the one thing they do agree on is they're saying this, I do not want my country, and not just my country, this is around the world, right? They are seeing the rise of fascism, and they are saying this is not acceptable. And I think if people read that, there's, people have this tendency to go, oh, in the United States anyway, to go, oh, my team. And so they hear Antifa, and they're like, that's the other side, right? No, Antifa means anti-fascist. It doesn't matter, what party you once upon a time had next to your name. If you are an anti-fascist, if you are saying, I do not want fascism, you're Antifa. Sorry to break the news to some people who don't like it. But and so Chris wrote a great intro to the Antifa Lit Journal Volume 1 that is worth your time, worth checking out. And that is all available there. And so, yeah. Please do check that out. Sign up for the newsletter that'll go out this next week with a whole bunch of information. And I'm just seeing in the chat that Chris is at work right now. Must be very slow because she can't even look at her phone when there's a customer anywhere near. So she's and she. I know her work ethic, so it must be real slow if she is able to even be taking peeks at her phone. Somebody is saying, beat you to Tattle. We've had a lot of Tattle references. Yeah, Tattle will become one of the great icons of this story. They were talking on, gosh, which one? It wasn't Echo Base Network, although that came up on that one as well. But Brian shared it because he had mentioned, oh, it was on Barbecue Counselor. It was also excellent. Check out, I've become a big fan. About, you know, when this becomes a movie, who plays who, right? And stunt casting, and that's, you know, been a game that people have been playing. But I was thinking about it. I was thinking about kind of, you know, more writer perspective, like structurally. And it would be really fun to have that story be, you know, about Tattle, right? Like the you know, seen through that lens of the crazy support, and maybe there's a happy ending for Tattle. Somebody, you know, hinted, and this was totally rumor. We do not know this at all. That that Tattle did end up rehomed. Great, like we would love that. Prove it. Like if you're BAM, tell us where. And the thing that's so wild about this is so many of these things they could have relayed with literally a phone call, right? Yeah, I mean, all the stuff about the Mansell collection, they knew our number. Call us up and say, hey, this guy's coming in. He's got a big giant collection. Yeah, he says. Is that true? Yeah. They were actually aware of it beforehand. But, you know, maybe not everybody in the company was. They could have called us. And they never called. And the same thing with Tattle, right? They could have, you know, before going on TV and saying this is what happened to Tattle, and then getting caught with, oh really, a shelter? Those require receipts. Show us the receipts, right? They could have just made a phone call and found out what really happened to Tattle so that they wouldn't go on TV and lie. And I think, again, this will come up in our BAM advice segment. Like, what is the worst thing you could do? Not make the phone call. Just lie continuously, right? Just make stuff up. Well, it comes back to bite you. It's the worst choice to make. So often is to just spout off stuff and get caught in a lie. Just, you know. So I am excited to get, you know, a room of writers together and answer your advice questions about what would be the worst thing to do in this circumstance, the BAM School of Management. Yeah, somebody says, I like to think that we find out Josh Johnson has a soft side and has an entire Lego fortress for Tattle and just doesn't want to admit it and lose custody. That would be an incredibly sweet, heartwarming ending to the story. It's, you know, it's the Precious for Gollum, you know, and he's, you know, sitting there on his porch with no shoes on, going, "My Tattle." That would be that would be lovely if that were actually the case. Let's hope that that's the you know, what has happened is Tattle's been well cared for by an obsessive, strange man. Gosh, one of the things we've had to do is watch so many hours of footage, right? Because we can't afford to say to our attorney, go out and hire people to analyze all this footage. And so we are actively participating in making sure that everything we say is accurate, right? And so we're watching hours and hours. And let me tell you, watching hours and hours of multiple camera angles of Josh Johnson, oof, not the Josh Johnson I would want to be watching, right? Josh Johnson, the comedian, huge fan. Josh Johnson, the you know, former franchise owner. I'll be nice. Yeah, watching a lot of hours of him and the way that he interacts with the world and presumes that everything will go his way, and you know, I don't like this person, you have to arrest them, is so wild and so dispiriting. Like it actually gets me down. We had to watch a lot of hours of him. We had to watch a lot of Ammon, and whew, it's a grind. At least Ammon is more entertaining in that you're kind of going, that's not true, that's not true. Those contradict each other. It's a bit of a, you know, it's a bit of a game. You know, watch the ping pong ball. You know, count the lies. With Josh, it's just, whew, it's brutal. He was wearing a Johnny Cash hat. I thought about that. I was like, man, this guy, you know, it's one of those people. It's like when the oh, I don't know if you guys remember that. We've got somebody here who's here from Wisconsin. We had a Speaker of the House who was from Wisconsin, who was the, like, you know, the most, you know, let's cut SNAP benefits, let's harm the poor in every possible way we can. But then it came out he was a Rage Against the Machine fan. And, Rage Against the Machine themselves had to be like, yeah, we want nothing to do with this person. And I saw Josh Johnson in his Johnny Cash hat. And I was like, man, Johnny Cash would have probably punched him in the face. That would not have been, it would not have gone, it would not have been mutual. Yeah, Christopher Mod. Oh, let's see. I probably can't make her mod because she's working. So if somebody else wants to be mod, I don't know if we need one. But if somebody wants, let's see. How about Mean Panda? Mean Panda, you want to be mod? If only I could. Why is it not letting me? I am trying to make somebody. There we go. Okay. Did I just make... Okay, I think I made Meat Panda mod. Or did I make Mitch a mod? I don't know. We'll see. If and if any of you feel it is necessary. Okay, you are mod. Good. It is not allowing me. It's in one program it won't allow it, so I have I've got multiple going here. I'm learning. It's coming together. It's I'm liking the formatting. I don't like the purple. So we'll figure this out a bit at a time. I created this background, which some people did not like. That is, I thought writerly, here's this book being turned behind me. And some people didn't like it because it was too busy, a little distracting. Some people liked it. Some people were like, oh, what book is that? But the problem with it is then when I had to reset up today, I didn't set it to loop. So that's why you've seen it and then seen it disappear and then seen it come back. So I'll get that fixed in the future. But let me know if you like the background or if you find that very distracting, because I can go away from the movement. There was the phenomena where people were playing. What was the video game that people were playing, Frankie? Do you remember?
Huh?
What was the video game people would have going behind in the stream, like just up above?
Subway Surfer.
Subway Surfer, yeah. So this was my version of, this was an author Subway Surfer, just to have something going in the background to hold folks' attention. But let me know if you find it annoying. It is my book, yes. I believe it's You Were Warned. I think it's the second in my most in my trilogy. So, if you could see like a fragment of a joke. Seeing the most interesting out of context things. Reno 911 is back on telly here in France. That show is brilliant. So funny. There are still lines that I will think of and just crack up. And I wonder how much of that was improv and how much of that was scripted, but brilliant show. Okay. Yeah. So, and the list corner 90 says, I like it. It might look better if the lighting in the video was warmer. Oh, I can do that. Good call. Yeah, and hopefully we don't go down in a burning ring of fire. Burning ring of fire. Is the query period for the next Antifa Journal still open? And yes, yes it is. This is exciting. Chris and I have been the co-editors going, for the first 3, but we have a guest editor. And so it's not us. And that was intentional, thoughtful. Let's give this other person who wants to get into editing themselves, a young person just out of college, let's give them this opportunity. And I think they're going to do an excellent job. And so that is still open, and they are receiving those as they come in. And then the closing, I think I might have put it on the website. I think it's August. I think it's the end of August. Is when we decided that was going to end. So if you've got something, that's close. So if you've got something, I need to update all that. But it was either end of August or like mid-September. So I think you've got a little bit of time. But get something in for that. That would be great. And Gray, who's going to be the editor, is going to do just an excellent job of putting that together. So, right by the university, so it's been a scary few days with the perimeter map not working. Oh, I don't. Right, is that in Minneapolis? Yes, the photos of Minneapolis Spider-Man have been one of the high points of the last, I don't know, couple of years. Um, that was very, very cool. I loved that. So if folks have not seen those, pull those up, and credit to the photographer. Some people have been cropping the photographer's like watermark and name out of their work, but there was a particular photographer whose name I do not know. Find the original photographer, and the cool thing about it is the guy actually even looks like Spidey's best friend in the most recent Spider-Man films. But yeah, the photographer did an excellent job. So check those pictures out; they will make you happy. Yeah, it's just one of those, you know, getting to see your comic book literally become reality is pretty great. Yes, what is his name? Juhn. June. I can't remember his last name. But yes, that please do credit the photographer who captured those images that we've all gotten to see, and the individual who was in, the guy's last name is Love, and he was arrested. He's been bailed out, but you know, he's going to probably face charges. So if you want to support him, I know there's a GoFundMe for that too. Christopher June, that's his name. Yes, Chris June. And so yes, support. You know, make sure that when you are sharing those pictures around, you credit the photographer, because artists deserve credit. Yes, somebody says Oz Spiderbug says Brian's money should have or has to be processed by the end of this month, so we'll see. My understanding is that it's like steps, and so it goes to BAM, gets it to their attorneys, their attorney gets it to Brian's attorneys, because and everybody's taken their cuts, right? So BAM pays this larger amount, their attorney gets a cut, then it goes to Brian's attorney. And that's so that, you know, because if they just handed somebody a check, you might end up with conceivably somebody who doesn't pay their lawyer, which is bad. You know, not that any of us have ever heard of any particular CEO who was sued by his own attorneys. Embarrassing. So yeah, that's why the money flows that way, is my understanding. And so yeah, it takes some time. And again, like, that's not BAM's fault. That is the way that it works. What is BAM's fault is you don't then jump the gun and say the guy's been paid, right? You just put out a statement saying we have agreed to a settlement and he will receive, you know, he will be made whole. That's all they had to do was change the tense, and then he would have gone around and said, "This statement we both agreed to is accurate. I will be made whole," right? And instead, they botched that in just such a, you know, easy to foresee way. Like, don't screw this up. And so that's, again, something that Chris and I have talked about, is being very you know, every time they make a mistake, we're like, as we deal with them, we're learning from this, right? This is another thing to watch out for. This is another thing that they do. So we will be very well informed in our dealings with them as we move forward. You know, and whether that's, you know, before or after discovery, before or after depositions, before or after actual, you know, in-court testimony, you know, any attorney will tell you that there will be meetings outside of the courtroom, because they're not going to want this to go to a jury. Can you imagine? And so, you know, there will be meetings, and we are learning from all of their behavior how to make sure that what to watch out for. And that is, you know, thanks for doing all this in public, BAM. You know, you've told us a lot about how you operate. Have I talked about the next caper you're trying to convince me to do? Gosh, which caper? I'm wondering if this is somebody else is being convinced to do a caper. Is that me or somebody else? I'm not sure what Chris is referencing now. That could be a different person. I should tell you a little bit about the next chapter to the novel that I'm writing. So the last one BAM folks who've been following the story have really enjoyed, because it actually has, a couple of CEOs and the person who is paying them and really secretly owns the company, and lots of parody and satire there. And so, oh no, the road trip, yes. So and again, we have to be uh, uh, careful with all the details. Can't give all that away, but we are thinking about taking a not thinking about we are going to take a big road trip. We've got some family to see in different places, and so I I'm a substitute teacher, and so that allows me to go. I just won't take jobs for this brief period of time. It'll be a bit of a financial hit, but we can then do these lives from the road, and so I will still be able to be on with a group of authors. I'll just be in a different place each time. So that's something I'm looking forward to, is bringing you all along on our road trip, and Chris and I will be able to kind of narrate that. So, and Chris does have a YouTube channel, so follow hers as well. Somebody, well, oh yeah, it's at Chris Gorman. So if you go to at Chris Gorman and follow hers as well, because as we are doing that, we can connect those lives that we do along the way, and bring you all on our. I mean, we're talking nation spanning. Like, we're going to go corner to corner of the United States. So that is something that it will be fun to bring you all along with. We've got folks to see in and I just had a thought. Chris and I have not even talked about this, but we were talking about on the way. One of the places we may pass through is Louisiana. Chris has never been. I've traveled a lot in the U.S. I've been to every state. I love to travel. I think of myself as a traveling writer. Like, when I'm in a place, then I write better about that place. So I love to travel because it informs my writing. But Chris has not had a lot of opportunities. And so she has never been to New Orleans, which is a great city. If you've never been to New Orleans, we went to Chicago relatively recently. That was to see some friends too, because my family lives on the other side of the country. So as we're, in transit, and so if we get to pass through Louisiana, it would be really fun to see if we could connect with BJC, because I know BJC is there. And then I think the Echo Base Network guys are not sure what state they're in. Are they in Georgia? So it would be fun. Tennessee, maybe. So it would be fun to get to connect with them. Wouldn't that be cool? Like, if we pass through Baton Rouge and then like do a live with Mean Panda 82, that would be a hoot. So maybe as we are traveling through, we'll let folks know we're going to be in, and see if we can meet up with some people. That would be really fun. Yes, Mean Panda 82, that would be a kick. Like, yeah, and bring back rocks for every state for Frankie. Yes, that's a good idea. So yeah, so that is to come. So I've thrown a lot at you folks about the show, the change to the company. I know I have to be a little cagey about some of the stuff that's going to be coming down in terms of the case, but again, good stuff. I think that it is. I am excited for what is to come on that front as well. And if they think that they any of this is resolved in their favor, yeah, that's not the way this is going to play out for them. So, well, again, that's up to all of you. Thanks to your support, I don't believe it will, because you folks are making this fight possible. So thank you all. I'll let you go. I've rambled on enough, but I've appreciated all of your time, and I will see you back soon with chapter 27 of the novel, and then maybe as soon as next week with our first panel of authors. Oh, I can tell you the next cool thing about that. The next show we do, this is another thing to be kind of keeping in mind. When folks give super chats, when folks are donating, we want to donate some of that to charity. But which charity? And we want to put, again, it's about distributing the power, right? We want your input on who we should be giving money to. when that's coming in. And we've already had a potential donor who said they're willing to do a matching gift, which is very cool, so that if somebody gives a gift, they know that they're giving even more. And one of the charities we've talked about, there is a charity that forgives medical debt. And so at that point, you'd be giving a gift, then this other person would be matching it. And the way that forgiving medical debt works is they buy debt that is sold on the open market and forgive it. Well, the way that often happens is, somebody takes a trip in an ambulance, they cannot afford to pay for it, it's $1,000. But when they sell that debt, they sell it for pennies on the dollar because they're not sure they're ever going to get their money back. Meanwhile, they're hounding this person, ruining their life. Their credit's shot, whatever, because they had the misfortune of a $10,000 trip in a van. And not all of us have $10,000 sitting in our couch cushions. I know I don't, right? So, if you don't have insurance, our system does not make that manageable. And so then this charity buys that debt for, pennies on the dollar. So your contribution could be, you've given $1, it's then been matched by somebody else and it's $2, but actually it ended up forgiving, $12 worth of somebody's medical debt thanks to your dollar. So that's pretty cool. So we would like to look at that, and we'd like your feedback on some other charities that you know about, maybe local, right? Sometimes the best work is not done by these huge nationwide charities. Sometimes it's done by somebody who is working in a very localized way. So yes, reminder for the tomatoes, don't make Chris angry. I know how Wife Agro works, and this could be an easy win. Yes, go out and get some. Yes, maybe I'll be able to see if I can go get some tonight before she gets home from work. It's never, you're right, never a bad idea. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate your time and your attention to this story and to all the stories to come, because there's a lot more to us as individuals and to my writing career, but also the writers that I want to promote than just BAM stuff. So if you want to help promote authors going forward, this is going to be a place for you. Chris doesn't go aggro. The danger is she doesn't tell me why she's pouting. She's gotten much better about that. So, as long as she informs me, when she walks in the door, you didn't get me yellow tomatoes, I'm angry with you. Then we're all on safer footing. So, on that note, I better go get myself some yellow tomatoes because now she knows that I at least had been forewarned. So yes, as Chris says, we love you all. Thank you all for being here, and we will talk to you soon.